Sometimes we outgrow our dreams. And that is the most anti-motivational thing anybody could ever say. But so it's a matter of letting dreams die because you filled them with new ones. I think that it is totally okay to let your dreams die once in a while. Now, hear me out, because I know that's, not what people say. People say, never stop dreaming and never give up and all of these things that they say. But I think that those people also aren't being realistic. So I'll give you an example. I wanted, ever since I was a little girl, I wanted a big, big wedding. I mean, huge. I wanted a big white dress and I wanted limos and I wanted all the things that you get, these extravagant things. And hell, I wanted, a chariot. I wanted crazy, crazy things. And my life certainly did not turn out like that. So I got engaged November of 2013 and I got pregnant in January of 2014. So, what was I going to do here? Well, I could be selfish and have a wedding anyway. I could go to City Hall. There were some things that I could do, right? There were options. None of those options really left me with my dream intact. Because I never intended for my child to be at my wedding. So since I didn't like any of the options, I went with D, none of the above. And I did not get married at all for a while. So my son was born in September of 2014. And I remember after that, after things kind of settled down after the first 2 years, my husband was like, "Well, when are we going to get married?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't know." And so we looked around at some places, just kind of going through the motions. And I remember looking at the prices and thinking, I want a house really bad. What am I doing here? Even if my parents were going to pay for some of this or all of this or most of it, whatever it was, wouldn't that money be better spent on something else? I mean, at this point, my life certainly didn't go in chronological order. This was not how I had planned. So it just felt odd to do it this way. And no matter how much that dream still lived inside of me, it was never going to live up to my expectations because things had changed. Things were different now. And so instead, I said that I didn't want to get married. And that was my defense mechanism because if I couldn't have it the way that I wanted it, I wasn't going to have it at all. And so I didn't get married at all. Now, 7 years went by. We moved a couple times. We had some life threatening situations. We bought a house and, we went through all that COVID nonsense. And, now it's 2021 and we're living in this house, April of 2021. And I was supposed to go on a work trip in Las Vegas in August. And so, since my son wasn't really fond of being without me and had never been without me overnight, I told my husband he was going to come. So he was planning on coming. My son was going to come, and then I asked my parents, "Hey, do you guys want to come?" Because they like Vegas, and you know what? It's a lot for my husband. I'm going to be working all day for a few days. At least you can help him out and give him a break. And why not? What else do you have to do, really? And then they said, "Yeah, sure." And then they asked my sister to come. And so my sister, who's 7 years younger than me, she's like, "Yeah, I'm going to come," her and her fiance. And um, so all of us are going there because I have a work trip. Well, what happens? This work trip, this conference gets canceled because of COVID restrictions. And so now everybody has tickets. I looked at my husband and I said, "Well, what are we going to do? We can't cancel the trip. I guess we're all going to Vegas." And I just looked at him and I said, "Hey, want to get married instead?" And he's like, "All right." And so we both do not like Elvis. We're not big fans of Elvis. And so we thought it best to get married by Elvis. And so we did. We got married in the Graceland Chapel. My parents were there. My sister was there. Our son was there. I did not wear a giant white dress. I wore a skimpy white dress with giant red high heels and one of those, fancy hats with a veil in red. And, Elvis married us. It was not at all the wedding that I had imagined. But I'll tell you, in hindsight, It was the best wedding I could have ever had. It was the best wedding for me because, first of all, when you tell people, they think it's really cool. It's just not traditional, and they think it's cool. Of course, my grandmother was mortified because I didn't get married in a church, but I mean, that ship sailed. So it's pretty cool. It's unique. And at some point, I had to let the dream die. And if you think that is the only dream that I've had to let die, you are sadly mistaken. I had big dreams. I had lots of dreams. And, you know, my dreams started to arise after I got clean. I've been clean from drugs for almost 14 years now. And so those dreams just started to awaken, a couple of years before I had my son. But I had big dreams when I was a little girl. I had big dreams when I got clean. And I didn't get to do a lot of the things that I had dreamed of doing. But you can't force things and you can't live in, well, my dreams are never going to come true. No, you have to change your dreams. You have to change. You have to adjust and modify your life because if you don't, then you're going to break, right? What do they say? If you don't bend with the wind, you'll break. And it's true. So I could have spent my whole life not getting married because I was angry and resentful that I never got the wedding that I wanted. Or I could have done something I really didn't want to do. Or I could have made it different, made it special, made it me, made it unique. And I think by doing that, it's even more special than if we had a wedding. And I think that we can adjust any of our dreams if we really, and let me stop here for a second because there's a difference between giving up and needing to adjust. If the only obstacle in your way is you, then you really shouldn't give up because a lot of us set our own obstacles. There's I've always wanted to write a book. It's a dream since I'm a little girl. I was writing books since I could write. So I've always wanted to write a book, but I've never done it. And I use lots of excuses, oh, I have a son. Oh, I have work. I have a business and I have a husband and I have a house. I can come up with almost any excuse. I have no time. I have time to sit down and binge watch TV at midnight because I'm alone finally, but I have no time to do that. So I have my own excuses. I wanted to write a book forever. I have not written it. Why? And not that I'm not a good writer. I'm a fantastic writer. I'm probably a better writer than I am a speaker. But I just never did it. I never did it because of me, not because of all those things. So those obstacles are not realistic. That's not something that should make me bend my dream, right? That's me standing in the way of my dream. Now, if I don't know, I can't even think of something that would possibly happen. Um, if something really awful happened and my life had totally changed and there was legitimately no time right now to write a book and it's not just me, it's circumstances, external circumstances. I think that those are legitimate reasons to say, okay, maybe now's not the time, maybe now's not the time. And just because you give up your dream doesn't mean that it doesn't ever happen. It may just happen differently. And so I think that we need to be open minded and not miss the sign, but also stop trying to force it. We can't force a dream. There's a difference between being lazy, right? Like me and my book. And there's a difference between if I went and I had this wedding, even though I had a kid and then I never got a house, then I was upset because I never got a house, but then I had a wedding. And how selfish would that be? Well, I'm doing that to myself now. Now I'm just forcing a square peg in a round hole and it's just not happening. So there's a big difference between adjusting your dreams, letting them die, and like I'm never going to be an FBI agent. At one point in my life, I thought that would be really cool. It's not going to happen. Like that's a dream I have to give up. Right? I'm 37 years old. It's just not happening, and you know what? That's okay. That's okay. It's just not my story. And so there are certain dreams you need to let go of and move on and be realistic. I think some business owners experience that when their businesses start to fail. They pursued a dream, it's not happening, but now they have to live in reality and say, okay, I need to pay bills. So they need to adjust. And so, I think that there are big differences between letting them die, adjusting them, and pushing through them. And so sometimes we need to push through our dreams because we're the only ones stopping us, not because external factors are playing a role. And when those external factors do play a role, then we just need to be flexible and keep our eyes open, because you know what, I could have very well have missed that. I believe that the stars aligned so that I could get married in Vegas. I believe that I was not supposed to have a big wedding, even though that was my dream. If I wanted everything, if I got everything that I wanted, I'd be dead. There are people, there are powers and forces and God, or whatever you want to call it, right? Me, it's God. There is a God that knows what I need more and better than I know. And so if God gave me everything that I wanted, I'd be dead, surely. But he knew what I needed. He knew what was best for me. And so I believe that I got exactly what I needed. I even believe that about my son. I remember wanting, I want a daughter, I want a girl, I want a little girl, I want to go get my nails done, I want to do all these things. You know what? God was like, you don't need that, lady. You need a son. You need a crazy ass boy to whip you into shape. And I got exactly what I needed to become the woman that I am. I needed him. He forced me to grow up. He taught me what unconditional love is. Everything we think we need, we don't. However, um, you should pursue dreams when you're the one being lazy. But when your dreams are not going to work, you got to let them go. And that is the most anti-motivational thing anybody could ever say. But when the dream is not working and everything is showing you that you need to, I hate to be negative like this, because there are people who have defied the odds, right? If everybody just listened to everybody who said, no, that's never going to work out, we wouldn't have the great things that we have in life today. However, when I know that I'm not going to be an FBI agent, I need to let that go. Like, how bad do I really need that or want that? Could I have had a big wedding? Yeah, but would that have conflicted with who I am on the inside now that I had a child? Yes. So it's a matter of letting dreams die because you filled them with new ones. That is the point I'm trying to make. You fill those dreams with new ones, not that you let them, not that you stop dreaming, not that you stop having goals and aspirations, but you fill the old dreams with the new dreams, because that's how we keep going. That's how we keep from crumbling every time something doesn't work out the way that we had dreamed about it. And so you need to just evolve and keep dreaming new dreams. If something doesn't, it's not right for you anymore, because we grow. We keep growing in life, and you should be growing constantly. And so maybe a dream you had when you were 10 doesn't quite suit you at 20, and maybe a dream you had at 20 doesn't quite suit you at 40, and that's okay, because we need to keep evolving and we get new dreams. And then we need to pursue those dreams. And if our old dreams don't quite fit the bill anymore, we need to let them go, and so that we can see clearly our new dreams, the dreams that we're supposed to be seeing. I mean, there's no other way to say it. You just need to, you need to keep dreaming new dreams, and don't be afraid to let go of some of the old stuff that doesn't suit you anymore. Sometimes we outgrow our dreams.